Good afternoon, JFS family. Good to see you. I'm glad you guys are hopefully going to be available to upload this video. This is a part of our Black History Month sort of educational series. And so what we started to do last year and what we want to do going forward is just really interview and talk to people in our community that we think are movers and shakers, people who I think can speak to equity, diversity, inclusion. And so this afternoon, I have Isaac Smitherman with me. Full transparency, Isaac and I go way back. I know his family. I've been knowing Isaac since he was a little guy, swimming together with my kids. And so Isaac was really an easy choice for me in terms of someone who I wanted to talk to and share this conversation with. So Isaac is a student body president of the University of Cincinnati. He's also a resident advisor and campus leader on LGBTQ plus issues. He's gone to the Ohio State House to push for Ohio Fairness Act, which would clarify that discrimination against someone based on their sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression is illegal. Isaac is obviously a very busy young man. We talked briefly. He's been in back-to-back meetings all day. So he's getting used to what it means to be a leader and someone with a voice in the community. So I'm really proud of what he's done so far. Isaac will be graduating with a degree this spring in environmental engineering, still looking for employment at this point, but also has considered also taking a gap year. So we sort of understand what that might mean in terms of just trying to figure out where you want to go, what you want to do in that interim. So I think that's a really good idea as well. He then plans to get a master's degree. His goal is a career in energy policy, possibly for United States Department of Energy. And for those of you who don't know, his father is Christopher Smitherman, who was a former city council member. So in terms of being an elected person, he's sort of following in that path already by being the student body president. So I want Isaac to talk a little bit about what's important to him. So I'll turn it over to Isaac to talk about kind of what you've been working on in the space of renewable energy and air pollution. And then we'll move on to some of the work you've done in terms of LGBTQ activism. So just talk to us a little bit about, what you've been working on with renewable energy.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the introduction. That was a great introduction and definitely covered all the bases. And it's always a good reminder of like these are all the things I'm doing and all the things I've been working on. But this is actually very timely because my back-to-back meetings, I just got off a call with our Office of Sustainability. And I was basically just pitching them an idea. There's this company, Sunbolt, that creates these solar panel charging like workstations. And so it's basically just a picnic table with a solar panel attached to it. And instead of an umbrella, it's a solar panel. You can plug in, it has outlets, you can plug into it, gives you that shade, those kinds of things. And so that company has actually offered us a pilot unit that we can bring onto campus and get installed to really just gauge students' interest if they like it, if it's something they would like to see more of. But really the goal was getting students outside. We've heard from a lot of students about wanting to work outside when it's nice out, but not having access to power, not having shade, there not being enough available seating. So this is kind of encompassing all of those things together. But that's been a lot of the work that I've been doing. Really just talking to our university officials about even just using solar panels to have Wi-Fi boosters outside, that when you're walking across campus, you can have access to that Wi-Fi and there aren't those spots around that are down. And then similarly, I've also had a few conversations with our dining services folks, just about, we're doing a lot of renovations and things on campus. As I'm sure if you drive through that UC community, you're going to see construction somewhere.
Yeah.
So talking to them about specifically their like cooking equipment, and trying to move away from gas and get induction stoves installed into the dining halls, to really just obviously use electricity to cook some of that food, instead of using natural gas and
Right.
Some of the implications that come with that.
What drove you to want to sort of start working in the space in the first place?
Yeah, so I think just going to college, I kind of knew that I knew that energy slash pollution was something that I just wanted to work in. And so, looking at different majors across colleges, I really saw this degree, environmental engineering, and I felt like it encompassed a lot of the things that I wanted to work on.
Hmm.
Our My major is definitely more focused on pollution control and not necessarily renewable energy. But
Okay.
the story I like to tell is growing up. Um, my mom would talk to me a lot about just environmental issues and driving down the highway and seeing those smog alerts, and really paying attention to like the air quality in the area. And I would always say as a little kid, I was like, if there was a smog alert or if there was a bunch of pollution, I would drive around and pick up my grandparents, pick up all the kids, and get everybody out of Cincinnati so that
Mm.
they don't have to breathe that polluted air and the
Hmm.
health effects that come with that.
Yeah.
And so I think just growing up and just kind of having that environmental lens and passion instilled in me, when I started looking at college and what I wanted to do, that's just, I don't even think I fully realized that's why those issues were sticking out to me, or those issues were things that I wanted to pursue.
Right.
Um, but yeah, thinking about it and reflecting on it, I'm like, I definitely have always kind of had this passion for dealing with pollution and really just trying to make our world, our communities, our cities as safe as possible, as safe and comfortable as possible
Right.
for the people that live here. Um,
Well,
so yeah,
thank you so much. I mean, that's really incredible, and it's so great to hear that renewable energy is coming
yeah,
back to the forefront in terms of just
yeah,
people wanting to work on the best ways, the best solutions that we can take advantage of to improve our overall community, right? Our health, our breathing, or how we use energy. So
yeah.
I'm really grateful that someone with your interest and your ability is working in that space. So thank you very much for sharing that.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to kind of ask you about too, we've been working on sort of in our organization, really trying to make sure that we are as equitable and diverse as possible, inclusive as possible. So can you tell us a little bit about your experience, I guess maybe before you became student body president or as student body president in the space of LGBTQ plus advocacy and your just experience personally, and how you sort of come to activism and working to make sure that people feel included,
Yeah.
regardless of their who they are.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's for me and some of the work that I've been doing, it's really just been about the visibility piece for me, and allowing those people and those identities to be at the forefront of conversations. Um, not necessarily that they always need to be the focus, but that everyone's aware that they're present.
Hmm.
There's not a question of, are there queer people in the room? Are there Black people in the room? Are there Asian people in the room? We all see this. We're all very aware, and everyone is being open about their identities and feel like they're in a space comfortable enough to be open about their identities. And so I think that's really what pushed me into those kind of advocacy areas and wanting to work on those things, is because I felt like I was going to events, and I was going to events and I was having conversations with people of, maybe it was a Black town hall and everyone's getting together to talk about what issues are Black students facing on campus. But we would talk about, all the things that people would see, but then there was never that piece of, okay, what's happening to Black queer people? What are Black
Yeah,
queer people experiencing on
yeah,
campus? Um, and I saw that there would be there would be separate events. Someone would say like, oh, we are going to highlight Black queer people. We're very big with Bayard Rustin on campus, and we have an honor society
mhm,
on through the LGBTQ Center, to kind of recognize his work in the civil rights movement.
mhm,
Um, but it always kind of felt like those things were separate and not
mhm,
a part of that greater whole and that greater conversation. And I was like, how do we get to a point where we can talk about these issues and not even feel like we have to be intentional about including those people,
right,
because those people are in the room and they feel comfortable saying those things, and
yeah,
it's already just a given that's going to be part of the conversation. And so at least some of the work that I've done was every year with student government, we go to the Ohio State House. In previous years, I started out in our governmental relations committee. So from the beginning in student government, I've always kind of been trying to reach out to legislators. I was the director of city relations, of course, because they saw my dad on city council. So they were like, we're going to put him there. This is the perfect position for him.
Right.
Yeah, having those conversations, going to the state house, especially now with a lot of the conversations of, how do we make Ohio competitive? Even what you're talking about, how do we make people feel included and make people want to come to this space? And so I really tried to use that as the angle for advocacy of, if you want Ohio to be competitive, if you want people to choose to come here, you don't want people to stay, or you want people to stay, we need to show that this is an inclusive community or an inclusive state, that people can be themselves in and feel comfortable actually settling down and having a family and getting connected to the community and being a part of solving the problems that we're all seeing and facing on a daily basis. And so, a lot of that is just meeting with those legislators and just trying to have that conversation. And especially now with all those a lot of conversations we have about trans rights and non-binary people, I feel like we've gotten to a point where there's kind of a general acceptance that like gay people exist.
Right.
But now we're getting a lot of pushback on the other end of, okay, it's okay for you to like the same sex, but if you want to change your gender, if you're gender non-conforming, now that's an issue. And we're going to push back on that. And so how do we have that conversation? Yeah.
Have you felt like at the community that you are working in, the UC community as a whole, that you've gotten any pushback? And I guess the second to the part of that question is, in terms of an organization as large as JFS, for example, and certainly University of Cincinnati, to have some intentional approach or strategy to making sure that no matter who comes to work here or goes to school at UC, what are some things that you and your in your role as the president of the student body have experienced or done to sort of ensure that there are everybody's voice is heard? Or there's some actions that you've taken, or there's some specific strategies that you've sort of implemented to make sure that everybody feels comfortable?
Yeah, I think one simple thing is, we try to be intentional about pronouns and student government. I would say just kind of in an academic space, we've kind of gotten to a point where trying to be intentional about that. That's even a difficult conversation sometimes, because I've heard the flip side of like, it can be bad to be intentional about them, because then you're kind of forcing people who, maybe they aren't, you're kind of putting them in a position where it's like now they have to out themselves to everyone because everyone else is saying their pronouns. So there's some discourse going on there that I don't think we fully sorted through. We have an LGBTQ center. We kind of have people on campus who are working on those issues. We have that position in student government, making sure people are paying attention to LGBTQ issues on campus. And the LGBTQ center, I think specifically for trans rights, I believe it's going to be coming up this semester, but every year they have a Trans Day of Visibility, and they really try to take that time to be on Main Street, kind of be front and center on campus, allowing those students to represent themselves, to talk about their experiences as trans students on campus, and just going back to what I was talking about with that visibility piece, kind of really acknowledging that these people exist, they are here, they are among us, and we should be excited about that. We should be happy about that, and it's something. It's not even something just, oh, you need to be mindful, you don't want to step on toes, but it's something to celebrate. And I think taking that time to not only focus on the negative, but doing some of that positive work and that's something I'm working on right now with the LGBTQ centers. We're throwing the first annual Bearcats Vogue Ball, and so we're trying to really celebrate Black queer folks on campus, bring awareness to ballroom culture and kind of the history of that and the Black queer community, and really just give an opportunity to educate people, make them aware of, we have a small ballroom community in Cincinnati, but making people aware that it is a community that does exist here, if they didn't know that, and finding those ways that they can get involved with those people, interact with them. But hopefully from the event, people being able to say, I'm celebrated here on campus. People appreciate my culture and they want to celebrate my culture with me. And they want to be a part of that and build those connections and build those relationships, and hopefully make people more comfortable to talk about those identities and those opportunities. And so I think there's a piece of it where there's some serious conversations when things aren't going well and we kind of need to backtrack and reevaluate. But I think whatever we can do to really celebrate people and make people's identities a positive thing, that they want to express and they want to feel comfortable expressing those things, I think goes a long way, and makes people want to be a part of things and not feel like they're being left out or excluded.
Isaac, thank you so much for your input, your time today.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? Is there anything else, just from your perspective, that you'd like to share with the folks that work with us, our staff, all of which are working in either child protective services or children's services, which is child protective services, child support. We also do eligibility for public assistance. So we deal with a lot of families in the county, and we do a lot of good work for the county. Is there anything else that you would like to share with that particular audience that you think might be helpful for us in the work we do?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing that just jumps out just because of the conversations is, what do children who are maybe expressing gender nonconformity or even just sexual nonconformity, I think just being intentional and being aware of what does that look like, and how to let those kids know and those people know that how they are is okay, how they are is good, is not even just okay, but it's a good thing. And then, being aware of those resources that we can get to those kids, and to make sure that they feel supported and seen in their identity. I think just as someone who has grown up queer, grown up gay, it does feel like until a certain age, it's something you have to hide. And I think that whatever work we can do to really normalize it, not even children having to feel like they have to come out and tell somebody that they're gay, but that they can just be themselves and be recognized for that, and be supported in who they are is I think the most important thing, and what I assume and see you all doing.
No, I think that's a really, really important point, and well stated. And thank you so much for offering that up. And I'm sure we'll get some questions and feedback when we share. People have an opportunity to see your feedback. But it's been an honor this afternoon to hear from you, and we really appreciate you taking the time out to talk with our team and with the JFS family about your experience and what you're doing, where you're going to go. We're certainly excited that you are making the impact that you're making in our community. So thank you very much for your time. We appreciate your time today, and I'm sure we'll be talking soon in some other spaces sometime soon. So